There it is, the beginning of the live video. We'll let a few people show up, see if anybody's out there. Dave Nelson coming at you from Industry Cooking Classes. I'm here in the Quarantine Kitchen Happy Hour, and we're getting ready to lay down the law when it comes down to your quarantine kitchen. Letitia, good to see you. Thanks for showing up. Let's wait for a couple more people. We'll hang out and kind of chit chat. You and me can kind of already get started. It is happy hour. And I'm enjoying a little bit of complimentary wine from one of our quarantine kitcheners, and by the name of Ms. Roberta. And we're trying a little bit of a Story Zinfandel. And so it's quite drinkable. This stuff's almost dangerous how easy to drink it is. Teresa, good to see you. Thanks for coming. And Shelby, Miss Shelby, if you folks don't know it, Shelby and I go way, way back working in the hotel industry, back at a Hyatt hotel back in the day. We used to go out and get crazy on our roller skates after work in the middle of the night, rolling around the Capitol streets in Sacramento, California. That was awesome, Shelby. And I still remember you cruising around in your rainbow pom-pom roller skates back then. That was awesome. And Letitia, got your glass. Cheers. Good to see you. Hey, let me take a little sip. Ms. Lily, good to see you. And I've decided, hey, we're all on first name basis around here, guys. So I hope you all don't mind. Looks like ladies' night out there so far, and I'm A-okay with that. While we wait to get going here, we're going to cover some technique here in just a little bit. We'll give people a couple more minutes to roll on in before I start really laying down the law here. But I'm feeling good. I can't wait for this kind of stuff. Cindy, good to see ya. Shelby, oh yeah, you should have kept them. You better believe it. I wish I had my old first pair of skates, but I imagine I would have rolled them into nuts and bolts by now. They were falling apart the last time I saw them. Still doing it though, as I know you know. Yeah, that's very drinkable stuff. So, yeah, she hasn't shown up yet, but, oh, Mags, I just, here, you'll appreciate this. I'm drinking Ms. Roberta's wine, okay? She's been here. She was there on the very first Quarantine Kitchen, I believe. She rolled on in, and she's been watching ever since, okay? And she sent me a bottle of wine, and so, Megs, I appreciate any part you played in that. This is tasty stuff. I said it a second ago. It's almost dangerous how easy to drink this is. So I'm going to set that over there. Let me see what you're saying here. A loyal follower, of course. Good to see you there, Mag. And Joe, I think it's you and me. Everybody else, you're the first guy to show up, I think, Joe. Good to see you, man. Corey, good to see you as well. Gosh, it looks like we got a bunch of people, so let's get rolling on this stuff. I've been waiting for it. I'll tell you guys, I really enjoy this Quarantine Kitchen. I'm teaching the way I want to teach. This is a one-man show. There's nobody in the back office telling me what to talk about or anything, and I'm really having a blast with this stuff. I would have done more Quarantine Kitchens this week, but I had other classes I have to do, and so I rolled out a kind of a culinary boot camp in the virtual sense this weekend for an organization that helps underprivileged communities start small businesses in the food area, right? And so we had a bunch of people come in and look at food theory, if you will, okay, this weekend. It was a lot of fun to do that. But I still miss my little quarantine kitchen, okay? So Cheryl, good to see you, and Kathy. Cheryl, long time, much respect. Love you out there, Cheryl. Much respect for you and what you do there. We are gonna get started here. What we're talking about today is, I'm gonna start out by making a compound butter. It's something we use a lot in the industry, in the savory kitchen. It's just a little trick, and basically what it is just a flavorful, tasty butter, okay? A butter with flavor in it, seasonings, whatever you want to, do. Garlic butter, for example, I'm gonna do like a lemon thyme butter. I'm keeping it super simple, right? The classics, right? And so I'm going to do this compound butter in the very beginning, and then we are going to break down a chicken together. I kind of threw it out there. We're going to be breaking down a chicken, and so if you guys want to kind of follow along, have your bird ready, and have a thin-bladed knife if you can. Let me show you what I'm talking about. So that's a pretty thin-bladed knife. These are boning knives, and if you've got one that's a little bit flexible, that's nice for you, okay? If you don't have that, you can kind of follow along on just, most people have a chef's knife or something. Not really the right tool for the job, but it can be done, okay? But if you have like that thin blade, you'll do great on this one tonight. So let me get another sip here. So we're going to start out with compound butters, right? The next thing that we're going to be looking at is I'm going to break down this bird, okay? And I'm going to basically show you the breakdown that I would usually do in culinary school for the most part, okay? Just so we can really see the parts of the bird and see what the anatomy is and see where the main parts come from, okay? So we are going to do that together, and I'm going to kind of lay out all the pieces, and we'll talk about the anatomy a little bit, and then I'm going to take all of the bones and scraps and all of that business, I'm going to throw it in a stock pot, and we're going to talk about making a white stock, okay? More culinary technique. You're going to get the standard culinary school lecture on that. Once we get that white stock going, it won't take long. It's, you know, bones and veggies and water, okay? We're going to kick that to a back burner and let it cruise, and then we're going to talk about grill technique, because I got to have a little something to do with this chicken, right? And so this isn't going to be some in-depth, you know, lecture on, you know, barbecue versus grill or anything like that, but I just want to talk about, hey, this is how you can get grill marks on a steak or a chicken or whatever it is, right? You know, it's basically hot grill, oil the grill and oil the thing you're going to grill, okay, and then we just let it mark, okay? So that's going to be the conversation later on. So coming at you, 4 major cooking techniques tonight while we're kicking around and having some fun after work, or, you know, at the beginning of the work week, okay? What a way to start off the week. I don't want to talk about any of the craziness out there, guys. I want to talk about the here and now, because it's just, yeah. So we ain't going there, okay? It's all this right here and now. So let's take another sip, guys. Cheers. Happy hour is about to begin, okay? Here we go. Cue the music, whatever music you're listening to. That is a tasty Zinfandel. Again, I don't like to be an advertiser, but may as well throw it out there. Stories Zinfandel 2015 from Amador County. It's beautiful, Shenandoah Valley in Amador County, and given to me by one of our loyal listeners, friend of the show, Ms. Roberta. I am ready to go. Let's do this. I'm going to set this aside. So, as I said, the first thing we're going to look at is a compound butter, and what chefs use compound butters for is basically like a flavor delivery system. In these previous quarantine kitchen happy hours, we've been talking about how fat is flavor and fat is a delivery vehicle for flavor, right? And so I can use butter as a vehicle for flavor, and what I'll do is, you know, I kind of mentioned, you know, garlic butter or something like that. I can work a little garlic and a little lemon juice and herbs into a butter, and I've got a flavored butter, a compound butter, and I can have a chicken, I can, you know, salt it up basically and get it started cooking, and then baste it with this compound butter, and by the time it is done, that chicken is a garlic butter chicken, or it's a lemon thyme chicken, or you can take this compound butter idea anywhere you want. It could be a red curry butter chicken, right? Or on and on, cilantro scallion chicken, you know, and just slathering this butter on while it's on the grill, or while it's roasting. Remember, our first class in Quarantine Kitchen Happy Hour was a roast class, and I was brushing on like bacon. I had a combination of like bacon, duck, and chicken fat that I was brushing on there, but you could absolutely deliver any flavor you want. Southwestern butter slathered onto a roasting chicken, and when it's done, it's like this chili bird. It's freaking awesome, man. That butter just carries the flavor so well. So here we go, okay? One of the tricks with the compound butter is we want to set this stuff out early. Roberta, very good to see you, and I have to cheers you. I have to give you a little cheers, Roberta. Sorry, everybody, they already heard the whole story, but thanks so much. My very first tax-deductible contribution to Quarantine Kitchen Happy Hour. So when I do my compound butters, I pull my butter out early, okay, and I let it soften up, and usually I'll cut it up. You see, it's all in dices there. So if I cut it up, there's more surface area exposed to the outside air, and it's going to kind of warm up that much quicker and soften for you, okay? Now, I've got a stiff fork in there, and I got a metal bowl, and it's big enough for me to kind of work in. I want to point out, and this is something I see so often in culinary school, and it happens to people at home too, I know, where you'll start a recipe in a pot or a pan or whatever, and by the time you get half the ingredients in there, it's overflowing your pot and pan. You know, you want to get a bowl or something that's bigger than you need. It's never a problem to have bigger, but if you got a smaller bowl, you're gonna run out of space a lot of the time, okay? So I just see that all the time, so I wanna throw that out there. So I've got butter in this bowl, it's softened, and what I wanna do is I wanna actually aerate it, okay? I'm gonna work some air into this, and there's a reason for that. If I wanna throw garlic into it, that's no problem. I can throw garlic in and really get that flavor distributed. I can throw salt in there and it will distribute throughout, right? But if I want to throw like Worcestershire sauce in there or lemon juice, now that I'm throwing liquids in there, the liquids are not going to move into that butter. It's fat, right? They don't mix. But if I whisk air into this thing, I can whisk some liquid in there. So right now I'm whisking a little air into my butter. As I do this, let me get a little, sorry, got a little butter on my hand. My OCD is kicking in, right? As I whip air into butter, you're gonna see that butter lighten up. It starts yellow, and then the more air I whip into something, anything really, the lighter in color it's gonna get. If you've ever purchased whipped butter, seen it in the big tubs, it's white. And you don't have to do too much to it, but a good stiff fork like this is a good way to whip air into it. And I can see the color change now. And I don't want to do this all day. I'll start turning the bowl gray with all that metal on metal contact. But I whipped a little bit of air in there, and now it will receive liquids like lemon juice or Worcestershire or Tabasco or whatever I want to work into it, okay? Let me just kind of wipe up a little bit. It's a little buttery around here. And I'm going to switch to a rubber spatula, or a spoonchula, if you will. The spoonchula, it was just one of the greatest inventions of the 20th century. After the rubber spatula, the rubber spoonchula. Okay, so I've just got all my butter in there. It's lighter in color, okay? And my lighting is horrible, I'm sorry. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna just start working a few ingredients into it. I'm gonna kick that off to the side, and what I wanna work on next is some lemon peel, okay? When I'm working lemon into a butter or any dish, I have a choice of whether I can use the peel or I use the acid, and I'm just gonna use both in this just to kind of demonstrate it, right? But a lot of the time, hey, maybe I don't want that acidity, but I do want that lemony flavor, so that's when I'm working with that lemon zest, okay? If I want acidity, I want that tanginess in a dish, right? It gets you right there. That's when I'm working lemon juice in there. And when I work lemon juice in there, I always kick in a little bit of lemon peel too, because why not? You know, it gives you the extra punch, right? So most people these days know what a microplane is. I didn't grow up with these things. I just had like granny peelers and regular old square box graters and stuff like that. But this is what most people are using. When I use a microplane, I will say that I still chop it up afterward. Let me back that up so you guys can see. Right? I don't want, those are pretty big pieces for your guests to bite into. And so I tend to chop it up afterward too. It's just detail work. I don't want people with little pieces of lemon peel sticking in their teeth while they're out on a hot date on a Saturday night. Turn it around and just get all that peel. It's probably more peel than I need. I'm turning the lemon as in the direction I need to peel this thing. I think I'm doing counterclockwise because I'm right-handed here. Okay, so there's my zested lemon, and then I want to go ahead and I want to grab a knife. This is an acidic item, so I want to use a stainless steel knife. Xanthi, good to see you. We've never hung out. This is awesome. I'm gonna get a little stainless steel knife. This is a little solid Wusthof German style knife. And I'm just gonna cut these guys down a little bit, okay? Again, you know, I don't want big old chunks of lemon in my butter. And so I'm just zipping through. Let me give you that knife work. People like to see that. Boom. When I'm doing this chopping motion, you can see that I've got my hand balanced on top. We've talked about this in other classes, and I just want to point out again, my hand stays flat. I don't curl my fingers. That's when you're going to take something off, guys. I haven't cut myself in a good long time. Hey, maybe tonight's the night. But it's been a good long while, and it's just because I have that muscle memory. It's something you develop, and to get it, you got to do your reps, okay? So I'm going to take this lemon peel, and I'm going to throw it into my whipped butter. It's all chopped up and nothing's gonna really get stuck in anybody's teeth. I'm not measuring here, okay? Just like all my classes, I'm just putting this together in amounts that seem reasonable, okay? I'm not gonna probably zest, I've got 1 cube of butter in here and 1 zest of lemon, okay? I'm probably not gonna do 6 lemon zests. It's just gonna be more zest than butter, right? You gotta kind of, use your intuition. In my job, I am trying to build intuitive cooks. It ain't about following recipes. That's a big thing, okay? Let me rinse up real quick. I'm gonna clean up in between this lemon and the next step. We want to be working crystal clean, okay? Super clean. Mr. Bruno Caccia, you know I love you, brother. Good to see you. And there's my other brother, Mr. William. Good to see you, sir. And there we go. We're looking pretty clean. Yeah, I think I can work now, okay? I've got that OCD thing going. The next thing I want to do is I've got some thyme to chop up, okay? I've got a bunch of thyme that I already picked through, and those thyme leaves, I'm still going to want to run my knife through them again. Just like the lemon peel, I don't want big thyme leaves. And just to show you, I did strip the thyme off, just to show you what that looks like. I just kind of grabbed those big old stems, and I'm very delicately, I'm not a delicate man, but I'm being as delicate as I can, and I'm picking those tiny, tender leaves off. It's all about the tiny, tender leaves. And so there they go. I'm almost done. There's 3, there's 2, and there's 1. And that dude right there is flavor, people. You've heard me talk about this before. I'm going to be making a stock tonight, so that's not going in the garbage. It's going in my stock pot. And there she goes. Ms. Laura, Ms. Autumn, good to see you folks. Thanks for tuning in. It is Quarantine Kitchen Happy Hour. Let's do another one of these. We're getting our drink on while we learn about some quarantine kitchening. Basic kitchen survival tips to get you through these troubled times. Okay, so next I'm gonna go ahead and chop these thyme leaves down. They're a little bit chunky. I don't wanna be biting into those, but I don't wanna get them too fine either. I do wanna see, I'm gonna be brushing this butter onto my chicken breasts as they're grilling, and I love to see those little tiny thyme leaves like glistening in that butter. It's just a gorgeous thing. When I send out a grilled chicken breast or a seared steak or something, oftentimes I'm brushing compound butter onto that stuff, and the butter is still chunky and melting on there, right? And the herbs are in there, and it's like super, super sexy looking, right? I much prefer that to something that's dry as a bone. Don't you, right? It takes 1 second to do that, and when your guest gets it, they're just like, oh, it's that extra detail. It just like knocks them off their feet. It's like super cool stuff. I'm gonna go ahead and throw this thyme on into the butter. Boom. Yeah, that's good enough. You guys can kind of see. You can kind of see. It's a little dirty on my board. I'm gonna wipe down again. That's another thing you will see in every quarantine kitchen classroom here. We wipe down in between every step. I call it work like a sushi chef. And for you guys that are hearing this over and over again, I think repetition and reinforcement is a good thing, right? Every time I do something on my board, I go to the next step, I wipe everything down, and I start fresh on the next item. Next item, I'm gonna go garlic. Let's do it. Woohoo. This is where I need the band. Okay, I'm gonna probably do about 3 cloves of garlic in there. Some of those guys are kind of softies. I suppose they're all right. And some of them are looking a little funky. All of these little funky ones, I'm going to crush them up and throw them in my stock pot. That's a little woody stem, and that ain't going in my stock pot. I don't think I need that puppy. But these other guys, you see them over here? I'm just going to crush them with the side of my knife and just throw them right in my stock pot, just like that. We don't have to worry about those peels. We're going to be straining everything out when we make the stock. Excuse me. And now let me clean up these garlic cloves right here. We're making a lemon thyme garlic butter here in Quarantine Kitchen Happy Hour. April 20th, 420 people. 2020, the greatest story ever told. All right, getting a little quick wipe down here in between. You guys might remember when I'm working with garlic, I kind of leave my hands a little wet sometimes. It doesn't hurt, that garlic is a little sticky. again, this is a reinforcement and repetition for you guys. So some beautiful garlic cloves coming out. There they go. And a third one, we're going to get rid of all those peels before we start chopping this garlic, so we're not working peel into our garlic. And I'm sorry guys, right now I'm having trouble seeing questions and all of that stuff. I've got the camera kind of turned. I got a new tripod setup going on that I'm trying out. You guys can leave comments about the camera angles, the camera work, and editing abilities in my little one-man show in the comments after. Don't forget to check in and check out my YouTube channel, okay? I've got tons and tons of these quarantine kitchen videos in little 15-minute increments. I just ran my blade through that garlic once. I'm gonna do it again. Just kind of chopping like I was before. And now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just drag my knife across the top of this. I kind of showed you guys this trick on another quarantine kitchen. Many of you have been here before. Some of you I'm meeting for the first time. And there's one more big one over there. Once I smash that garlic, okay, I've chopped it twice, and now I just smashed it with the side of my blade. It's almost paste, right? And I'm just gonna run my knife through that again. If you really wanna make this into paste, you can add a little salt into this, and it'll liquefy. But that garlic's looking pretty tight, okay? I ran my knife through it maybe 4 times, and I smashed it twice. It's the 4-2 rule. I just made that up, okay? Ms. Adrian, good to see you. Monica, good to see you as well. Hey, nice, nice. Wave at everybody. I can't wave too much, guys. I don't know. I'm kind of fired up tonight, guys. You can see I'm really kind of rolling with it tonight. I'm feeling good. All right, so right now I've got butter in there and I whipped some air into that butter. I've got garlic in there, I've got thyme in there, and that's about it, right? I should mention that this was unsalted butter, and I often don't mention that in the beginning of the conversation because quite frankly, I've been in this business, I stopped counting at 40 years, okay? We're not counting anymore after that, right? And I have never, ever since I was a little kid and I got in this business, you know, and I was eating pancakes for the first time, you know, next to the dumpster in back of the restaurant, trying maple syrup for the first time in my life, right? I'm trying that, and it's like the butter on those pancakes was unsalted, and ever since that day, I don't think I've ever really used salted butter again. It just never comes up, and so I'm so blindsided by that question all the time. It's of course we use unsalted butter. The salted butter is not even on my radar, right? I usually salt my stuff. Mr. Patrick, good to see you, sir. So I should work a little bit of salt in there. Ms. Nicole, thanks for showing up. Favorite waitress in town right there. The meme queen. All right. I got a little salt in this butter now. Just like anything else, we got to season it up. And I'm going to work some pepper into it too. And I'm using a black pepper today. Black pepper time, lemon. It's like lemon pepper idea. Sometimes I don't use black pepper. I might do a cayenne or something like that. So I'm getting that all worked together. Kind of hard to see in there. You guys can climb on in. Look at that, upside down. X Games. Boom. And then earlier I was talking about, hey, we whip air into this stuff so I can get a liquid to kind of emulsify or to kind of work into it. And so that's what I'm gonna do now. I'm gonna show you how to juice a lemon, okay? This is the trick that they use when in the fancy French restaurants. You know, they roll that cart out there, the Garadone, you know, and they do your Caesar salad table side, and they juice that lemon right in front of you, right? And it looks like so, okay? We basically cut that lemon in half. Oh, camera. And then I might have a little strainer or something like that. Yes, I do. I'm going to kick that strainer in there just in case, okay? And I take my lemon and I use a fork and I stick the fork in there. And sometimes when that cart rolls out, it's already set up like that. So all the server has to do is like have their pinkies out and they squeeze the lemon gently while they move that fork back and forth. And then you turn it and you do it again, and you turn it and you do it again. People buy citrus reamers. I use forks. They're always around in a restaurant. I don't carry a citrus reamer around in my toolbox. I can always find a fork. You guys want more lemon juice in there? We got a lot of lemon zest. Let's go for a little more lemon juice, okay? Let's see that again. Fork in there, gently squeezing with my left hand. while I move up and down with my right. Sounds like other pursuits in life, doesn't it? We're going to leave that aside because it's all about happy hour, okay? Let's have another one of these. I think I'm going to need a refill here. And then we're going to finish this compound butter up, and then we're going to start talking about the bird. I'm going to give you the bird. But I'm having a little happy hour emergency here. I've run out of my Zinfandel. And this is like drinking liquid jam. It is quite tasty. I've heard wines described as jammy. This has got to be one of them. I could spread this wine on toast with some peanut butter. You better believe. All right. So while I was stalling there, the rest of the juice kind of dripped through my screen, and I'm going to let that go and get rid of that. Hand that off to my talented staff. And then I have that air worked into the butter, and I'm going to start slowly trying to work this. It's a little juicy, but I'm going to slowly start working this juice in. And it'll capture it. It's already starting to capture it. And that water is almost gone. Not water, but lemon juice. It's worked on in. So what I haven't done is I've just kind of been throwing in ingredients in amounts that look about right. You know, I'm not measuring anything. I probably had about 2 teaspoons of thyme in there, probably about the same amount of lemon peel. It was 1 lemon zested, right? I juiced 1 lemon into it, and I added a little bit of salt and a little bit of pepper. I think what I'm gonna do now is, should I just like set it aside, or maybe I should give this a little taste and see if it's got enough seasoning, right? I want this to be seasoned perfectly, and that's a whole conversation unto itself. Let me get back at you here. What am I looking at here? This is what I'm looking at. I brought my spoons over here. I'm gonna grab a little spoon, and I got a big one for scooping and a little one for tasting, okay? So I'm gonna grab my big one and taste my butter, and it's popping, okay? Really what I was tasting for right at this point was the salt. And I think at this point, I've got enough salt in there, but you know what? For demonstration purposes, I'm gonna pretend to add a little more salt. Put in 1 more grain, okay? Very, very important. Every step of the way, you want everything seasoned perfectly. And that way, when they come together on a plate, it's perfect. If I make the most perfect pasta sauce in the world, no one's ever seen one like it, and you taste it and it's just like, oh my gosh, this is the best sauce the world has ever freaking seen. And you cannot dispute it, right? You serve that with a pasta that has no seasoning on it, now the plate's out of balance, right? If the pasta is seasoned to where you would want to just eat the pasta, just it's perfect the way it is. I could just eat a bowl of the pasta just like that. And then you put a sauce on that's seasoned perfectly, now you achieve balance. Every element of the plate needs to be seasoned well. So even though this is going onto a chicken that I might season later, this needs to be seasoned too, okay? And so I think we have achieved balance here. I better stir in that grain of salt I threw in. And then we're about done with our little compound butter. Now, oftentimes chefs will shape this into like long tubes and freeze them and things like that. I'm just gonna be brushing this on my chicken tonight. This is my flavor delivery system. That's what we were talking about earlier, where the fat, the butter in this case, is carrying the flavor of thyme, pepper, lemon to my dish, right? And I'm just gonna be basting this onto my chicken, and I will have a lemon, pepper, thyme chicken when I'm done, right? Okay, so that's a compound butter. We use that idea, you know, and compound butter isn't just savory, right? Sometimes compound butters are sweet, like your maple honey butter on the Sunday buffet. That's a compound butter too. Any flavored, tasty butter, right? And that's what it's all about. All right, so now that compound butter's done, I need to do a little scene transition here. I need to take a little sip, okay? And then I wanna get a chicken out down on my board, and we're gonna break this chicken up. I'm gonna put bones in my stock pot, and I'm gonna put parts on my little tray here so we can kind of study the anatomy of a chicken, okay? So let's do one of these. This is where, cue the music, okay? Da, 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 da. And let me kind of do a little scene change here. Oh yeah. Oh, that's yummy. Not like last week. I only had 1 wine left last week. It was a Chardonnay, and they are just not my favorite. Oh yes. If you have not seen last week, you can find all of these quarantine kitchen happy hours on your favorite YouTube Industry Cooking Classes channel, okay? Industry Cooking Classes is my little brand. I used to do live shows out in the community trying to tell anyone that Food Network is not teaching you how to cook. I'm trying to teach those basic cooking techniques that you see in culinary school, and nobody talks about it except culinary school. And so that's what I'm doing in Quarantine Kitchen. I'll tell you, the first day of this, or about the second day where I really was just kind of going crazy, you know, I was gonna make chicken dinner, and about 40 minutes before I decided, screw it, I'm gonna throw it on this Facebook Live and check that out. I've never done that, right? And 40 minutes later, I was doing it, and I'm having a blast. I think you guys can see, and we're learning stuff. Let me give this board a quick little rinse. I'll be right back, and we're going to go ahead and break down a bird. Mr. Esteban Vargas, good to see you. I hope you guys are doing good, doing well down there. Oh yes, oh yes. Sorry, I haven't had I haven't been able to take any questions at this point tonight because just the camera angles, I can't see the screen very well tonight. It's a different tripod I got. And let me get a little mat for underneath. And you guys know about the little rubber mat or something, or a wet towel underneath your cutting board so it doesn't slide around. You missed those lectures. Esteban, you're about to get another one right now, brother. You're in the middle of one.